meals, and I make sure they get them. Well, the same goes for any other place that serves food, and that's why several key practices must be followed during preparation, cooking, and service to keep food safe. There's proper techniques for thawing, minimum internal cooking temperatures for various foods, established hot and cold holding methods, specific practices for serving foods, safe methods for cooling, and set requirements for reheating.
And don't forget to start with the basics. Now, my staff knows they should never begin food preparation without properly washing their hands. And when gloves are worn, it should never be used in place of hand washing.
When you're wearing gloves, always wash your hands before putting them on and when changing to a fresh pair. Forget to do this, and you're contaminating everything you touch.
Okay, you've done that and you've done everything else right. You bought your food from an approved source, you checked it, and stored it all properly. Now we get down to the meat of the process preparation.
A lot of foods have to be thawed first, and there's 4 acceptable ways to do it. You can thaw food in a refrigerator or in a walk-in cooler, or do it under running, cold, drinkable water at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 Celsius. Or if the food will be cooked immediately after thawing, put it in a microwave oven. The other way to do it is to thaw the food as part of the cooking process.
Here's the biggest don't. You should never thaw foods at room temperature. As always, you should clean and sanitize all the work surfaces and the utensils you plan to use. And you should wash your hands frequently, especially before and after handling raw foods and between tasks.
There are some foods that require special handling during prep. If you're handling meat, fish, and poultry, remember to put raw and prepared meats back into storage as quickly as possible and store them properly to prevent cross-contamination. Most importantly, don't forget to store raw products under ready-to-eat foods. Pre-chill potentially hazardous foods and ingredients that will be served cold. You want to keep things like mayonnaise, sliced bread, tuna, and fruits for salads out of the temperature danger zone. And prepare food in small batches so large amounts of food don't sit out at room temperature for long periods.
If I'm working with eggs, I use them immediately, unless they've been pasteurized. And when I'm done, I promptly clean and sanitize all the equipment and utensils that I've used to prepare the eggs.
I've also marked batter and breading for special handling. First, make batters with pasteurized eggs whenever possible. And when you prepare batters, do it in small batches. Then keep it refrigerated as much as possible. And you should never add new batter or breading to old. Always make a new batch and use clean pans. If you're pre-breading foods, store the breaded food in a refrigerator as quickly as possible. And always throw out any leftover batter or breading at the end of the shift. Time and temperature are the keys to killing microorganisms that can make you sick. The temperature that kills them depends on the type of food.
There are two things to keep in mind. One is that I'm talking about the internal temperature of the food, not the oven temperature. The other is that these are minimum temperatures. There are some places that may choose to cook food to a higher temperature.
There's a lot to remember, and I want my staff to get it right, so I keep a temperature chart handy in my kitchen. Poultry has to be cooked to 165 degrees, 74 Celsius for 15 seconds. Ground meats to 155 degrees, 68 Celsius for 15 seconds. But keep in mind that a higher temperature is required for ground poultry. That requires 165 degrees Fahrenheit, 74 Celsius for 15 seconds. Pork and beef should be cooked to 145 degrees, 63 Celsius for 15 seconds. But roasts have special time and temperature requirements. I always have my people check the chart to make sure they're keeping the meat safe. Fish, 145 degrees, 63 Celsius for 15 seconds. If you're cooking foods with a microwave, make sure all foods are covered and cooked to a minimum internal temperature of 165 degrees, 74 Celsius for 15 seconds. Be sure to stir the food during cooking and let it stand 2 minutes afterwards to let the temperature even out.
When it comes to minimum cooking temperatures, I never compromise.
Cooling food quickly and properly is often the hardest thing to do. You have to bring hot food down from 140 to 70 degrees or 60 to 21 Celsius within 2 hours. and then continue to cool it to 41 degrees 5 Celsius or lower within the next 4 hours.
These are the maximums, but the quicker the better. If the food doesn't cool to 70 degrees 21 Celsius within 2 hours, you have to properly reheat it or throw it out.
A lot of factors affect how quickly food cools, like its size, thickness, and the type of container it's cooled in.
Well, there's several ways to cool food. You can reduce the size of the food, use a blast chiller, use ice water baths, and stir the food to cool it faster and more evenly, or add cold water or ice as an ingredient. And remember to label and date the food before storing it in the refrigerator.
When reheating foods for hot holding, do it to an internal temperature of 165 degrees 74 Celsius for 15 seconds within 2 hours. Holding food has its own set of special challenges. First, hold hot food at 140 degrees 60 Celsius or above, and never reheat food in equipment that isn't designed to do it. For cold holding, only use equipment that can keep cold foods at 41 degrees 5 Celsius or lower. Whenever you're holding foods, remember to check food temperatures at least every 2 hours. If it's not at the right temperature, reheat it. And be sure to throw it out after 4 hours if it hasn't been held at the proper temperature.
Self-service bars. I've got a lot to say about these. You really have to protect the customer from themselves here.
Keep raw and ready-to-eat foods separate. You have to protect all the foods you have on display. Use lids and sneeze guards, then make sure all displayed foods are labeled. Have a designated spot to return all utensils, and do not let customers reuse plates and silverware.
The first and last thing to remember about off-premise catering is that the same practices and principles that you follow in your place must be followed out there. It may be difficult, but you find ways to make it work.
As always, temperature is key. Keep hot foods hot and cold foods cold, and make sure that the way you transport it is safe. Then label everything with instructions so your catering customers have the right serving information.
Everything I've talked about boils down to what I call Victor's rules for safe food handling, and they apply in every situation, on-site or off-premise. Quick serve or full-service restaurant, it doesn't matter. Follow the rules to the letter. A shortcut can make someone very, very sick.
Practice strict personal hygiene. Everyone should wash their hands regularly.
Monitor time and temperature.
Prevent cross-contamination. Keep raw foods separate from those that are ready to eat.
Clean and sanitize food contact surfaces, equipment, and utensils before and after each use.
Cook foods to required minimum internal temperatures or higher.
When holding, keep hot foods hot and cold foods cold.
Cool food quickly, from 140 degrees to 70 degrees within 2 hours, then continue to cool to 41 degrees or 5 Celsius within the next 4 hours.
Reheat foods for service to an internal temperature of 165 degrees 74 Celsius for 15 seconds within 2 hours. These rules exist for a very good reason. Back when I was cooking and serving 3 squares a day in the Army, we called them orders. And you always follow orders.
Hey, Mercedes. Not much of a lunch crowd today. Well, let's get this all cleaned up. We can get a head start on the Hoffman reception setup for tonight.
December through February is a slow season with the club, at least for the lunch shift. We get the bridge and the health club traffic, but most of the golfers, except for the diehards,
Hey, Benjamin.
they stop coming after November.
See that game yesterday?
I guess nobody wants to putt around when it's practically zero. Even so, I have plenty to do. Keeping this place clean and sanitary is a year-round job.
No, it looks like a person. Every time.
Why is it important? Well, 1, if it's not clean, nobody's going to want to eat here. 2, if it's not sanitary, people are going to get sick. And 3, I like my job. If I make a lot of people sick, it sort of limits my prospects for advancement. I'm sort of half joking, but I shouldn't. Foodborne illness can be real serious. Creates a risk for everyone. And cleaning and sanitizing brings your risks way down. Besides, it's not just the right thing to do, it's the only thing. Learning to clean and sanitize properly isn't difficult. The trick is remembering to do it consistently and thoroughly. This is what it takes. You need to know the difference between cleaning and sanitizing and understand how sanitizers work. You have to know how to manually clean and sanitize tableware and equipment. You have to know how to use a dishwashing machine properly, how to properly store clean items, how to store cleaning supplies, and how to set up and monitor a cleaning program. There's a big difference between cleaning and sanitizing. Cleaning only removes soil. It may look all right, but it may not be safe. Sanitizing reduces microorganisms on the surface to safe levels. It takes care of what you can't see. While everything in the operation must be kept clean, any surface that comes in contact with food must be cleaned and then sanitized. If you don't do this properly, you increase the chance of cross-contamination. Everything you use to clean and sanitize, such as cloths and brushes, should be kept separate. If you mix them up, you may wind up contaminating everything you just cleaned. You should clean and sanitize anything that touches food after every use and when you begin working with another type of food. You should also do it anytime you're interrupted during a task. Well, if you're using something constantly, like a meat slicer, you need to clean and sanitize it as much as possible. At the very least, every 4 hours. Cleaners remove soil from a surface. There are several types, and the one you use depends on the type of soil you need to remove. Work with your supplier to choose the right products. Okay, so you've got the right products, you've used them as directed, and everything's nice and clean. Now you gotta sanitize. And there's only two ways to do that: heat or chemicals. Heat sanitizing uses very hot water to sanitize and is commonly used in dishwashing machines. It's important to follow the manufacturer's recommendations to make sure water temperatures are properly set. Chemical sanitizing uses chemicals to kill microorganisms. The three most common and effective types of chemical sanitizers are chlorine, iodine, and quaternary ammonium compounds, or QUATs for short. There's pros and cons for each, so choose the one most suited to your needs. The effectiveness of a chemical sanitizer depends on the temperature of the water, the amount of time the sanitizer is in contact with the item, and the concentration of the sanitizer itself. Make sure you read the label on the sanitizer and use it only as directed. There's two ways to get things cleaned and sanitized. You can either do it by hand, or you can run it through a dishwashing machine. Well, if you're doing it by hand, you need a 3-compartment sink with drain boards on either side, a clock with a second hand, and a sanitizer test kit. And before you start, you want to make sure your drain boards and your sinks are all clean and sanitized. Next, you want to set up a 3-compartment sink. The first compartment, that's where you're going to do your cleaning. You want that full of hot water and detergent. Second compartment, you want to fill up with hot water. That's where you do your rinsing. And the third compartment, that's where you do your sanitizing. Fill the sink with a solution of sanitizer and water. Follow the manufacturer's directions regarding water temperature. And use a test kit to check the concentration of the sanitizer. Use too little, things won't get sanitized. Use too much, and it can be toxic. You got your sink set up. Now follow this 5-step process to wash tableware and equipment by hand. Step 1, rinse, scrape, or soak everything before you wash it. Step 2, wash everything in the first sink and change the detergent solution when the suds are gone or when the water becomes dirty. Step 3, rinse in hot water. If the water becomes dirty or full of suds, change it. Step 4, submerge everything in the sanitizing sink. Check the clock and make sure you sanitize for the recommended amount of time. And change the solution when the concentration drops below what's recommended. And the last step, let everything air dry. Hey, dishwashers sure make life a lot easier, but not unless they're set up and working right. Check the detergent and sanitizer dispensers and make sure they're filled. Double check the water temperature and pressure. Both should meet the manufacturer's recommendations. The machine itself should be kept clean, so make sure you inspect and clean it at least once a day. Make sure that the tanks are filled with clean water and clear the spray nozzles of foreign objects. Scale and mineral deposits tend to really build up, so use an acid cleaner at least once a week to remove them. Give your dishwasher a chance to do a good job. Everything should be scraped, rinsed, or soaked before loading. And don't overload the machine. Check the racks to make sure the surfaces of pots, pans, dishes, knives, everything are exposed to the spray action. After they've been cleaned and sanitized, keep them that way and store them properly. That means tableware and utensils should be kept at least 6 inches or 15 centimeters off the floor. Drawers and shelves should be cleaned and sanitized, and don't forget the trays and carts used to transport clean tableware and utensils. Glasses and cups should be stored upside down, and flatware and utensils placed with their handles up so you can pick them up by their handles. Cleaning supplies and tools can contaminate food and equipment if not stored properly. Keep them away from food and utensils and store them in a locked cabinet. The storage area should be equipped with a utility sink to clean mops and other cleaning tools. It should also have a floor drain for getting rid of wastewater. Establishing a master cleaning program is important because a written plan and schedule helps to organize all the cleaning and sanitizing jobs. Your plan should clearly identify every cleaning task and assign responsibility to a specific person or position. Be specific. Identify what's to be cleaned and who's going to clean it, when it's going to be cleaned, and how it's going to be cleaned. For any cleaning program to be effective, it's got to be monitored. Managers need to supervise daily cleaning routines, monitor the completion of all tasks, and conduct spot inspections. Your customers expect and deserve safe food. And if you're going to give it to them, there's only one way to do this job. The right way. Cleaning and sanitizing isn't difficult. And in some ways, it's like a good golf swing. You've got to have the right practices, then you have to be consistent. It's how you follow through that matters.
Hey, are you guys all set up back there? Yeah, we're all set to go. Okay, then I'll be back in just a
Hey,
second.
ladies.
Hi. Okay.
Hey, Mariella. Whoa, whoa. Come here.
What's all this?
You know we've got that inspection coming up, and
Uh-huh.
we need to be good and ready for it. And since you're the point person on food safety around here, I wanted to make sure we're both on the same page.
Oh, we'll be ready. I'll make sure of it.
Just to be sure, I got this videotape from my buddy who used to be a sanitarian. I figure a tape like this could really help us out. I mean, it's all about the same thing. Whether you work at a restaurant or a supermarket, food safety is food safety. So let's take a few minutes and go through this thing together. I think it'll be worth your time.
Okay, if you think it's that important.
Okay. Now, let's watch this first segment. It shows a quick service restaurant, but it applies to any food service operation. And here we go.
Uh-oh.
I ordered the soup and it's cold. Could I get another one, please?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
Need some frozen burgers from the freezer, please. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, that's a no-no.
Here you go, man.
Thanks a lot. That's a lot of burgers, man. I guess we'll use them.
See that?
Andrea, can you wrap this for me, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh, I gotta work. Yep. I gotta get up there. We'll see you later. Alrighty. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Hey, Ashley. Oh, hey.
Oops.
Can I help you? Sure.
Pretty cool, huh? Okay, there were a couple of obvious things, and I heard you catch them. But let's go back through it and do a little play-by-play.
All right. Those trays just touched the trash. Couldn't that contaminate the customer's food?
Yeah, I ordered the soup and it's cold. Could I get another one, please?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
It sounds like they might not be holding hot food properly.
Thank you.
See that? They've got chemicals stored near the food. That's a problem waiting to happen.
But it looks like they're washing their hands right. Oh, he just ran his hand through his hair.
Look at that. The freezer door is wide open. It's going to get warm in there, and that's dangerous with the food stored inside.
I wonder how long that ham's been sitting out like that.
That's a lot of burgers, man.
Okay, Mariella, what's wrong here?
Well, that guy just wiped his hands on his apron.
You're right, but there's something else. They took out more food than they're going to use. If those boxes sit out too long, the burgers can be temperature abused.
Yeah, we learned that in ServSafe.
Exactly.
Oh, man. He just licked his fingers, then went right back to working with the cheese.
That's major contamination. And he's also wearing jewelry. Okay, she sneezed into her hands, but then she washes them right away. It looks like she knows the right thing to do.
Uh-oh, she just picked up that dirty bucket off the floor and scooped ice with it.
Now look at this, Mariella. There's a lot going on here. That girl is mixing two chemicals together.
Whoa, I've seen people around here doing that exact same thing.
Well, we better fix that because it's dangerous. You never mix two chemicals together. It could be toxic. And look at that employee, the one putting on a hat to cover her hair.
Looks like she's just starting her shift. I hope she washed her hands.
Good point. Let's watch as she walks to the front and keep your eyes open for anything. That door is still open. All that food could be in the temperature danger zone.
The ham's still out.
They should have sliced what they needed and put it away.
How's it going? Hey, Ashley. Oh, hey. Can I help you?
But what about that employee we were following? Did you see her do anything?
I don't know. I saw her eat a French fry. What's the big deal? What's wrong with that?
Well, let's take a look. Look, first she touches her hair. Then she pats that guy on the shoulder. Then she takes the fry and eats it. Her hand could have picked up contamination from either her hair or the guy's shirt. More than likely, she contaminated the other fries when she reached in there.
Hey, how about that employee licking her fingers? That could contaminate food, too.
You got that right. There's some real lessons in that scenario, but there's a lot more we have to do to stay on top of food safety. Now, this next piece takes place in a convenience store, but again, everything that happens there can apply to any food service situation, including ours.
Hey, how you doing? I'm trying to get out of my hot dog back there, but you guys are out of bunch. Can you help me out?
Sure, hold on, I'll get it.
Thanks.
Yes, how can I help you?
Hey, bud, how you doing? I'm trying to get a hot dog back there, but you guys are out of bunch. Can you help me out?
Sure, no problem.
You know, can I get a carton of Cools, too?
Regulars, that's fine.
That's fine. Thanks.
Bad move, pal.
Here you go. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Ooh.
How we doing, Amanda?
Good. Just finishing up some sandwich and a couple of salads.
Great, great, great.
Uh-oh.
You know it needs to be done by 12.
Oh, they'll be done. I'm on my last two.
Good.
Excuse me?
Yes, I got it.
Busted.
1 or 2.
Hey, Amanda. Amanda, hi.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you. This is Laredo. Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to
I've
meet
heard so
you,
much
too.
about you.
Great, great.
Can we get one of those sandwiches?
Sure. I was just making them. They're fresh.
Excuse me, can we have one without the onions?
Oh, no
please?
problem.
Shouldn't have done that.
There you go. You're all set.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you.
You take care.
You want to get some Reese's cups?
How about a cake?
I like that.
Anything else?
No, we're good.
Great. How are you?
There was a lot going on in that segment. So let's go through it one more time and see if we can catch all the bad practices.
All right.
Hey, how you doing? I'm trying to get out.
Okay, we have a delivery of milk coming through the door.
Thanks.
Yes, how can I help you?
Hey, bud, how you doing? I'm trying to get a hot dog back there, but you guys are out of bunch. Can you help me out?
Sure, no problem.
You know, can I get a carton of Cools too?
Regulars, that's fine.
That's fine. Thanks.
She's grabbing that croissant with her bare hands.
Yeah, I wonder where the tongs are. Look at these sandwiches and salads. If they're not stocked properly in this display case, they'll never stay cold, and that could be a problem. The guy never washed his hands before grabbing the hot dog bun.
Yeah, and I saw him scratch himself before that. And look at all the jewelry he's wearing.
Here you go. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Now, he should have used the tongs to grab that hot dog. It looks like the hot dog roller isn't even on.
Yeah, a lot of people turn it off so that the hot dogs don't burn.
What about the temperature?
That's a question that they should be asking themselves. Look at his hands down in the relish. What's the problem with this?
Well, I think the next customer is going to eat whatever was on that guy's hands, and they could get sick.
That's right, and it probably wouldn't have happened if the store had the right utensils.
Take a look at the ketchup dispenser. It's pretty moldy. He shouldn't be spraying chemicals near the food in that deli case. Look, she just wiped that knife on her apron. That's contamination.
And look at her hair. She should be wearing a hair restraint.
You know, it needs to be done by 12.
Oh, they'll be done. On my last two.
Uh-oh. He just put the cleaning rag and the spray bottle on the counter next to those sandwiches. Did you catch the ham sitting out on the slicer? It's obvious they aren't using it right now, so it should have been put away.
How could you wash your hands in that sink?
Hand washing sinks should only be used for hand washing.
Did you catch the paper towel thing? It's empty.
Let's see how he washes his hands.
He's not doing it the right way, is he?
Nope. And look, they've got the walk-in door propped open.
Excuse me?
Yes.
I got a slice.
1 or 2?
See how he's serving the slice of pizza? That's bad since he just did a bunch of things that could have contaminated his hands. Do you remember what they were?
Give me the remote and I'll show you. Well, right there, he didn't wash his hands properly. He just rinsed them in the same sink as that pan.
Right. What else?
Yes. I got a slice.
He dried his hands on his shirt and then he finished drying them on the dirty towel.
Yeah, keep going.
And then he scratched himself.
Bingo.
Amanda, hi. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. This is Laredo. Hi, it's nice to meet you.
See them shaking hands? Look closer. See the bandage on her finger? That should be covered.
Can we get one of those sandwiches?
Sure. I was just making them. They're fresh.
She just touched that sandwich without washing her hands.
That's right. And she just shook hands with that customer. Whatever was on his hands is now on the food.
There you go. You're all set.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you.
You take care.
You want to get some Reese's Cups?
How about a cake?
I like that.
Anything else?
No, we're good.
Look, the milk delivery is still sitting out. That should have been put in the cooler right when it was delivered.
If it stays out much longer, they're going to have to pour it out or face the consequences.
And both of us know there can be lots of consequences.
Uh-huh. We've gone over that before. So, is there any more on this tape?
Yeah, in fact, this next section walks through a full-service operation that's a lot like our own place. Now, you should be able to catch most of what's wrong in this one.
Okay, roll the tape. I'm ready. Wrong.
dish stock ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it away.
Right.